While it may have been a noble effort, we have lost the war on drugs. There has been a long and complicated relationship between drugs and people for centuries. Mind altering substances have been around nearly as long as people have. According to one article in Live Science, people have been using drugs since prehistoric times. The drug business is a multi-trillion-dollar market and for many a way of life. Eliminating drugs is not an attainable goal, but reducing the risks and cost involved with substance use very well could be. Considering that drugs will likely never just disappear, choosing to minimize the harmful effects that drugs produce should be our top priority. Harm reduction does just that by providing safer conditions for those afflicted and for society as a whole. Harm reduction lowers crime rates, the spread of disease, and death among users. Considering its benefits, it is time we focus more of our energy and resources on harm reduction rather than continuing to fight a losing battle on the war on drugs. The rising numbers concerning drug use in the U.S. are very alarming, and not only for things like marijuana use. A study mentioned in the Britannica Encyclopedia shows that in 2015, 14,333,000 people in the U.S. answered that they have tried methamphetamine at least once in their lifetime. The study also suggests that the number of people who have either tried or continued to abuse drugs has been steadily climbing for at least 12 years. This is not a problem that will simply go away on its own. The truth is in the numbers. While we do need to find a solution, or perhaps several solutions, for this growing epidemic, focusing more on preventing the harmful side effects of drug use should be a significant concern. The War on Drugs is a national campaign that was founded by President Richard Nixon in 1971 after he declared that drug abuse was public enemy number one. He increased funding for drug related agencies and implemented harsh drug policies. The expansion of this movement was primarily fueled by increased media coverage of crack cocaine use during the 1980s. While this program may have had earnest beginnings, it simply is not working. In fact, according to one article, the United States war on drugs really did make things worse. New studies show that it has actually made things worse. Drug traffickers are actively adapting and adjusting their routes, exploiting new locations to get around U.S. drug control. This essentially means that the very presence of the law enforcement has only made drug trafficking more widespread and harder to eradicate. Not to mention the fact that the U.S. is spending nearly $5 billion per year on drugs with little or no progress. We need to look at the facts and decide the best course of action for the country and its people. Harm reduction, according to their website, accepts that a continuing level of drug use, both licit and illicit, in society is inevitable and defines objectives as reducing adverse consequences. It neither supports nor condemns drug use, and it does not require that an individual stop their drug use in order to receive support unless that is their goal. Harm reduction centers on believing in and respecting the rights of everyone, including drug users. If we know that people are going to use illicit drugs, no matter what is being done, would it not make sense to try and reduce some of the damage being done to not only the user but to society as a whole? Harm reduction is not only focused in reality, it is the most sensible reaction to this drug epidemic. Harm reduction provides many benefits to not only individual drug users but to communities also. For instance, research shows that harm reduction helps prevent the transmission of diseases like HIV and hepatitis. It reduces unwanted pregnancies, it reduces other unsafe practices that are associated with drug use. Additionally, this program educates people on subjects like safe sex and condom use, increases the number of referrals to treatment programs, and decreases the number of needles found in public places by implementing a needle exchange program where the individuals have to trade in their old needles in order to receive new ones. If we cannot eliminate this problem, it makes sense that we lessen the damage that it causes. There are those who argue against harm reduction in response to drugs. People probably argue the most against this strategy because